Teen Minds Redefined. You're listening to the podcast with Cheryl Pankhurst.
Welcome to another episode of Teen Minds Redefined, where we dive deep into the challenges and triumphs of parenting teens in today's ever-changing world. I'm Cheryl Pankhurst, and today we have a special guest who brings a wealth of knowledge, not just in podcasting, but also in building resilient communities and fostering a growth mindset, Jennifer Henczel. She is an award-winning leader and has won or been nominated for a number of awards, most recently the winner of the Innovator of the Year at the Quill Podcast Awards. Needless to say, I want to be Jennifer when I grow up. Jennifer is a podcasting expert and has transformative insights on how mindset can shape our reality and the power of community in overcoming life's hurdles. Welcome, Jennifer. I am so happy you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
This is exciting for me. I know Jennifer through our podcasting Facebook groups and courses, and it's really exciting to have a different insight on parenting teens, because there is a piece of this called community and community building. And so to start with, let's start with your story, Jennifer. How did you get to exactly where you are right now? What's your story? What's the impact you want to make? Tell us about all things Jennifer.
Yeah, it took me a long time to find my career that I wanted. So I want to encourage anyone who's listening, if you're teen or if you are struggling with getting your career going, it took me quite a while. I had my business as a side gig for many, many years, and I was constantly trying to turn it into something full time, and I just couldn't do it. It was always around the next corner, but then finally in 2012, I was able to break free and turn my side gig into my full-time business, and I haven't worked for anyone since. And a big part of that was learning how to build thriving communities around my message and how to leverage my message and expertise to generate recurring monthly income. And I want to share with you some of those mindset shifts that I had to do to help me to do that.
No, that's awesome. It's exactly what we need to hear. Can you tell me, why are you so deep into this podcasting world? Now, I've only been in it since last October. So 46 episodes. I haven't missed a week because I absolutely love it. But what do you love about it?
Well, definitely my most favorite thing about it is the community. The podcasting community is such a beautiful, beautiful community. And how I got involved with podcasting is my journey started when I was at work one day. I was at my 9 to 5, and I got a phone call that no one wants to receive. And it was my husband's boss. And he said my husband had been in a really bad accident, and I had to come to the hospital right away. And all the way to the hospital, I kept thinking to myself, I'm not going to lose my best friend today. And when I got there, I didn't even recognize my husband. He had been crushed by 12,000 pounds of wood at work. He was a supervisor in a wood mill. And thankfully he survived, but it was a tragedy that really, really shook up our lives. And it's been a long recovery for him, and he's been so courageous and defied unimaginable odds we both have. And he's left with some injuries, that he still struggles with. But for me, the whole thing really made me look at my life, and I realized I had become isolated and stuck, stuck in my job, stuck in my life. Have you ever felt stuck?
Oh, yeah. Is that right? Podcasting got me out of that stuck, I tell you.
Yeah, maybe you love your job and you want to move up in your career, or maybe you feel like you're just waiting for the next step, or you want to start, turn your side gig into your full-time income like I did. And one of the things that impacted me during the time after my husband's accident was how the communities that he was involved in before his accident now rallied around and supported him. So you see, Paul was a volunteer football coach and announcer in our community. He announced football games for young folks, for teenagers. And the football players and coaches would come around and say things like, "We're here for you, Coach Paul." And that really sustained us through that difficult time. So while the situation really blew up my life, there were moments like that, like those where those people would pop in and just to visit us and see us, that really sustained us, and really it ignited something within me, a spark within me. I had had enough of not living the way I was living in a way I didn't want to. And I wanted to change things so I could really thrive in my life, and I realized one of the things I was missing was that kind of community in the business world.
Mm-hmm.
So out of my own need to connect with people, I invited local business owners to join me for lunch one day. And I wasn't very organized with it at that point. I just put it out there on my socials. Hey, who wants to join me for lunch? And to my surprise, 50 business owners showed up that day.
Wow.
And I was shocked. And the little room I had reserved was overflowing. And I discovered that other people were also seeking that kind of connection. I wasn't the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So that one meeting turned into a group, and that group turned into a network. And I had multiple chapters throughout my region in different cities. And over that time, I planned and promoted over 600 events. I had, several events every week, and we met so many amazing people. And with the platform that I had grown and cultivated, I was even able to help my husband go from an injured mill worker to an international speaker and author. And I helped him publish a book about our story, and he's done a TED Talk called Silencing Stigma Through Storytelling.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that journey, period. Like, that just must have been devastating. And obviously you grew from it, but I have to just stop and say, you never want anyone to go through that. So I'm sorry that that's how this evolved. However, as you're talking about community, and you're talking about you and your husband and this tragedy, there's a community of two. So community doesn't have to be, when people think, oh, I have a community, I have 8,000 people or I have 12,000 people, you can have a community of two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And your community, as it grew, when you first when you first even started thinking about this, did you say to yourself, I know exactly how things are going to go, and I have a perfect plan, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and I know it's going to be completely successful, so I'm going to do it because I know for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's the thing, is we have so many things that are burning on our heart that we put away on the back burner. And the thing is, what if we bring those forward? What will happen? And that's what happened. I finally put that need in my life first, and look what happened. It completely bloomed into something beautiful. I have lifelong friends from that experience, and I ended up selling that network, and I've built several communities since then, including the Women in Podcasting Network. But, I found out that for anything to work, you need to be part of a community. Mm-hmm. And you need to build your circle of support around you. It's not going to build it itself. We found that you need to build your circle of support around you. It's not going to build itself. And people will help you if you show up to be helped. You have to show up. You need to put yourself in the position to experience the value of being connected and supported, right?
Yeah.
And the myth is that the one who teaches the most, the one who creates the best website and all the best socials, the one who hustles the most. I was hustling 12, 14, 16 hours a day. That was not healthy for me. I damaged my health. And the myth was that, the one that hustles to the point of exhaustion makes the most money and freedom, but it's just not true.
No.
The problem was I was trying to do everything alone, but hustling alone on your own island doesn't get you very far, right? But walking the path and climbing the mountain with other like-minded people makes the journey so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I will quote another network I'm in, She Rises. And the woman that runs that, she always says, you need a Whoville. You just need a Whoville. And I love that thought, like, who can help me do this? Who can help me do that? But who can I serve in this community as well? Mm-hmm. And it's amazing when we sit in any of these networking, our Women in Podcasting or any of the networking, what comes out of that, the conversations that come out of it, because everybody is in the same community. We're all kind of like-minded. It's like when, parents get into a Facebook community because they're going through a divorce or they're co-parenting. Everybody's in that same, tight sort of, I don't know what I'm going through. I don't know what you're going through. Everybody's always at a different stage in a community, which is always so helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when you're at the beginning of your journey and someone is, in the middle of their journey, like when I listen to you, I'm like, oh, okay, that's something I had no clue about. Take a note. And it's incredible. You're right about what community can do. How does community help your mindset?
Yeah, well, I had this mindset of being isolated and doing everything myself, right? And when I embraced this new idea of community, collaboration instead of competition, right? I was in a competitive mindset. Now I'm in a collaborative mindset. Everything for me, everything I create has collaborative components, community focus, because when you connect with other people, it can take you places you can't even imagine. Opportunities will flow to you. I had to flip the scripts in my mind, you know, the ones that say you have to do everything on your own. You don't need other people. You have to be polished to show up. That's one of the biggest ones, right? That's the biggest lie, is you have to be super polished to show up.
Yep.
Quite the opposite. You have to be you to show up, and that's it. That's all it takes for the real you to stand up and let yourself be seen, and you will find your friends and your community by doing that. And the beginning steps of my ascension journey really started in the deepest valley, right? But I was inspired by another community, which was a little football community. And to build my first community, that's what, you know, spurred me and inspired me. And so what I like to say about having a community mindset is drop the hustle and join the huddle.
Yes. Yeah.
And guess what? You know, people want to connect with you. You know, people want to connect with you. And that was my surprise, is I showed up as myself, and actually people do want to connect with you. And you know, the day of my husband's accident was my son's 16th birthday.
Oh my gosh.
And both our kids were teenagers. And, you know, changing into a community mindset helped our whole family. You know, a lot of people in our situation get divorced. The families get completely disrupted.
Yeah.
And we took an approach of embracing our story and connecting. You know, we learned how to connect with people through that experience and through the network I made. And that helped our whole family. Now our whole family has a really deep community approach to everything.
Yeah. How did your kids respond to, like, truly respond with when your community started reaching out to you?
Yeah, I think it really touched all of us, you know, because a lot of the football players, of course, our son played football as well. And so a lot of them were his friends. But it wasn't just the football community. That was just one example of a community that reached out to us. But we, you know, all of us were really helped and supported by the people coming around. And, you know, it was a really touching part of what took place. And I'm so glad that we have those memories, because there was a lot of hard times, of course.
Yeah.
You know, and all the difficult things you have as a family when an accident happens. But all of our memories really are focused around all the community things that took place at that time and moving forward.
Well, and sharing these difficult stories where you are really raw and vulnerable, that's when people look at you and say, oh, I know exactly how you're feeling, or I'm at the beginning of that stage. Now I have someone I can talk to. Now I have someone I can connect with. And on your end, oh, I know how to help you through. I know how to guide you through. Don't step in that landmine. You can step, you know, over here. I've taken that path. Like, what more beautiful story from beginning to end is that? I love that.
You know, it takes, and a lot of people, it's hard to get out and meet with people these days. I mean, you know, there's a lot of barriers. There's a lot of reasons or excuses we can come up with to not go out and meet with people. But it's taking that leap that makes all the difference. You know, when I, pardon me, you know, when I turned 50 to celebrate, I went skydiving. And for months, I was going back and forth, you know, should I do it? Should I not do it? And my son said, you know, just go for it, Mom, because, you know, these people are really skilled at what they're doing, and you'll be safe and secure and everything will be fine. And then I was really enjoying thinking about it. And we went up that day in the plane, and I was fine. I was doing great. I was excited. We're going higher and higher and higher and higher. And I was pretty good until the door opened and people just started rolling out of the plane, you know. We've all been on a plane, right? And usually you don't see people just opening the door and jumping out. And so it seems so natural to them, you know, to just do that. And that suddenly pinged, you know, a fear inside me. And I was the only newbie, and we were the last ones. I was tethered to someone. And, you know, I considered at that moment, we had to step out of the door and step on a little step. We're standing on a step on the outside of a moving plane, and I can see the curve of the earth, right? And so, you know, and then we did it. We took the leap and we went. And I don't know if you know this, but you only feel like falling for about 3 to 5 seconds.
No, I don't know that, and I will never find out. But okay.
And then the cool thing is, then you just feel like you take a certain position, you feel like you're just floating. You feel like you're just floating in the sky, and I could see everything in my town, right? I could see all the landmarks, and it was spectacular. It was the most amazing, just breathtaking experience of my life. But, when I landed safely and everything was great, everything went really well. And it's a beautiful memory that I have now. But, the most fearful part was right before the leap. And so I use that in my life because it is true about everything, almost everything. The most fearful leaps we could take, the most beautiful experiences are on the other side of that.
I could not agree with you more. I always say to people, even when I'm coaching, it's the indecision. It's that inertia. It's that feeling is so much harder than the actual leap, than the actual, what you want to do, and sometimes it's, do I want to get a divorce? Do I want to not get a divorce? It's making the decision is what's key. Just decide. And you decide. I will not decide what you decided. I will not be jumping out of any planes. You're an empath. I'm sweating right now thinking about you. However, there are many leaps that I've, experienced that I probably sat in that, what can I describe as like this fog, like there's this screen in front of me and it's like, I don't know. And then you finally make the decision and the window's open and the sun comes out and you have no idea what's going to happen on the other end, but it's a decision because it's, hecking at you. You know what I mean? It's like this whisper, just do it. Mm-hmm. You're right. And then when you finally do it, it's like, oh my God, why did I wait so long to do this?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Oh my
Totally. Goodness. And, to live your passion, you need to have clarity and focus and really know what you're going after and then break through some of those fears. Because if you don't know what your passion is, ask yourself what really fires you up, what makes you uniquely you. Mm-hmm. And then your purpose is how you serve the world with that passion.
Yeah.
And the world needs your gifts. And your family needs your gifts, and you need to bring those things that are on the back burner to the forefront, because then our family had more community. I spent more time with my kids. I had been hustling so much and always putting time with my kids on the back. Mm-hmm. Now this happened to us and I put time with the family to the forefront.
I love it. And even, I retired early to do this because there was just something else burning inside me to do. And 2 years ago, it certainly wasn't podcasting. I was going to be a consultant and a coach, and I'm still on that road. And I was in some kind of, these masterminds, and somebody said something about podcasting. And I was like, podcasting means you don't need to do slides and PowerPoint presentations, and you just get to sit and chat about what you really know and where you love. And I'm like, well, I can do that. I can totally do that. And last September, I just said, see you later after 28 years of working with teenagers, and started a podcast. And it started off as me just giving strategies and solutions for parents who have teens who are neurodivergent and how to handle high school and all of the things. And then I started the interviewing and having guests. And the energy level went from 5 to 8,000. And this is my joy. Like, this is 1,000% my joy. I could do this 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, not get tired. And it's just, so this is the gift. And this is where you're reaching so many people. And when I tie your expertise and what I'm doing together in podcasting, I want to know from you what you think, how parents can connect through podcasting with their kids, because we know, we don't always listen to the same music. We don't always read the same books or watch the same movies. Is there a way that you can think that we can connect with our teens through podcasting?
Yeah, well, I really saw this happen. And I just want to stop and say, you are doing such an amazing job with your podcast. Your podcast is so amazing. You bring so much knowledge and skill and insights. I've been listening to some episodes and I'm just so blown away by how amazing your podcast is. And you do such a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really kind.
Yeah, I love your show, and it's such an honor to be on your show here. But yeah, so for us as a family, this actually happened to us where through the situation, we were actually listening to podcasts, and we would share episodes amongst ourselves, to do with motivation and inspiration through our situation that we were dealing with. And so as we go, then finally my husband and I started our own podcast.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So that's what his accident initiated our first podcast. He works with mastering your message, and I primarily work with monetizing your message. And so we've come together and we have the Inspiring Innovator show together. And so we started that podcast because we were so inspired by podcasts and how it impacted our family by listening to podcasts. And so that's why I know your show is helping people, because there are families out there listening to your show and it's changing their lives.
I sure hope so. It's changing mine just thinking that might be happening. Oh.
Yeah.
It's funny because as I'm asking questions about, connecting with your kids through podcasting, I know zippity-doo-dah about editing. And, when you quit your job and you start your own business, you know that the money isn't rolling in. So you look for bootstraps. And my daughter, who is phenomenal with this stuff, is my editor. And the best part about having your daughter, she's 32, the best part about the million best parts, but one really great part about it is she's super honest with me, and she will call me out on anything that I shouldn't say, what doesn't sound right, this is not inclusive, all of the things and the technical part, the sound and all of that. But it's just so cool to have that connection. And then my son's 34 and his wife is in special education teaching in a school I used to teach in, coincidentally or not. And so they're hearing the message and they're sharing, and their friends are getting involved. And it's all this snowball of, oh my God. And it just gives you another, boost of fuel to keep going and keep going and keep going. And I find that anything we talk about with teens, like I've gone through divorce. So yep, I can talk about divorce. I've gone through high school, so I can help people with their with teachers or neurodivergent, just life in general, where you just connect with anybody, everyone that gets on here. We have this great connection and we grow together, and I learn more and they learn. And then, listeners are commenting and liking, and it's just this one big community. I feel like we all kind of connect with each other. It's all collaborative. I think that's a really good point of what you said. It's all collaborative. We're all just learning from each other and growing with each other. And it's just the best platform.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Oh, that brings tingles to my whole body, just hearing everything you're saying about, connecting, how podcasting has affected your family as well. My daughter works for me, also does some work for me and is honest with me. And I love that part, that the honesty that will come that I don't get from other outsourcers, that is so valuable to me. And, involving the family in the podcast and in the message. And now both of my kids are involved in their communities, in such amazing, amazing ways. And I'm so proud of them.
Yeah. Well, the fact, first of all, I didn't quite like getting called out when she was 14 and 15. Let's be honest. I was not impressed with that crap at all. But now, yes, we've both grown. And I love that, my son and I share common podcasts and real heavy duty mindset shifts. And, it's just incredible to be able to listen to a podcast and be able to say, that doesn't work for me, but I understand how it could. I think it really, because it's not an interview, because it's a conversation, I think just makes all the difference in the world. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I really believe podcasting is going to become even more mainstream, because I believe that at the center of every community will be a podcast. And around every podcast, I see it. Podcasters are learning. I'm helping a lot of podcasters build communities around their podcast. And you don't have to think of it, if you hear what I'm saying and you're thinking, oh, that's too much, I don't have time to build a community. No, don't build a community. Become part of a community. listen to a podcast and become part of that community around that podcast. That's what helped us. We didn't just listen, we became part of the communities of the podcasts we were listening to. And through podcasts, we are finding community. We're finding each other. We're finding connection and collaboration. Like you and I get to connect like this more than we did just through the social, and it warms my heart. I just love it. Now I know more about you and you know more about me, and we grow as communities.
Yeah. I can't even say that any more than you just did. It's so energizing, I find, to be able to just sit with somebody in trust, even though, I guess COVID gave us this whole Zoom community thing, but to be able to sit with somebody in trust, I have to sometimes like set an alarm or put a clock in front of me, because once I start talking, I forget I'm recording. I forget all of the outside, stuff that comes with podcasting. It's just you and I, or you and somebody else, just saying, oh my God, this was such a shitty time in my life, but this is what I did, or this is what I found, or this is what helped. And, I picture someone who is in the throes of co-parenting, and it's just the worst negative thing ever. And they get to hear something that gives them a little bit of hope. And yes, then they can connect through the community. And then when you connect through these communities, you can tell the podcasters, tell the host, this is what I need to hear. We're so happy to hear that. This is what I need to learn about. Oh, absolutely. I can do that. Perfect. And it's, it's not, I don't know. Just like you said, it's community, it's collaborating, and it's really, I love to hear when a listener drops me a message. Oh my God, please, can you talk about body image and eating disorders? Yep, I can certainly find an expert. You know why I can find an expert? Because I belong to 18 different communities where I can find a really good expert. One of them being women in podcasting. Bingo.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. I love that. We've had thousands of connections through the group, and it brings me so much joy seeing so many women, using their voice and sharing their message and then impacting others and helping others in the world. And it's just so uplifting. It's so uplifting to see, our other women just using their gifts and pulling those gifts from the back burner to the forefront and thriving in that passion.
We're going to change the world.
Yes.
That's just all there is to that, period. Yeah. Full stop.
Totally.
Jennifer, I have just loved this conversation. Your message is amazing. I'm so proud to be a part of your group. Is there anything that you want to say? How do we work with you? What are all the Jennifer things?
Well, you can find me at womeninpodcasting.net, and you can also find the Women in Podcasting Awards there. And I would encourage you to vote for Cheryl's show, because this is an amazing show. You can go there and vote for her. And what's the category you're in, Cheryl?
I am in motivation and inspiration.
Yes. So that's the category you can find Cheryl in and vote for her podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, Jennifer, I, again, so appreciate spending some time with us and sharing your message. And I look forward to seeing you in about a half an hour. Jennifer's a busy girl. And I thank you for listening. I thank you for voting. And I will put the link out again. I'll put the link to all things Jennifer in there in case you're interested in podcasting. You can drop either of us a note and we can help you out there. And thank you for listening to Teen Minds Redefined. And we will see you next time.
Teen Minds Redefined with Cheryl Pankhurst. New episodes out every Wednesday. Thanks for stopping by.